It's 5:45 a.m. on the 12th of July 2025. In the eastern waters of the Taiwan Strait, the USS Theodore Roosevelt and its escorts suddenly pick up multiple unknown tracks. Alarms blare across the carrier deck. Sailors rush to battle stations. Boots pounding metal floors. Outside, streaks of light tear across the horizon. Chinese DF-26 and DF-21D ballistic missiles already inbound. Seconds later, destroyers detect low-flying YJ-18 cruise missiles and hypersonic YJ-21 seconds launched from bombers. The sky fills with warnings, radios crackle with orders, and every crew member braces for impact. In the Combat Information Center, officers scan glowing screens, calling out ranges and bearing lines. On deck, fire crews stand by, ready for the worst. The roar of jet engines mixes with the thud of defenses spinning up. Below decks, damage control teams stage hoses and foam. Corpsmen prep triage kits. On the bridge, the order is final. Engage. The Taiwan Strait is not just a stretch of water, it's one of the busiest lifelines on the planet. Every day, tankers and container ships pass through, carrying fuel, food, and electronics that keep homes, stores, and factories supplied across the world. On this July morning, the USS Theodore Roosevelt and its carrier strike group patrol the eastern corridor. Their mission is clear: keep those routes open, no matter what China throws at them. For Washington, the stakes are immense. If a U.S. carrier is knocked out here, the loss would echo far beyond the Pacific. Insurance costs would skyrocket. Stock markets would wobble. Shelves in American stores could empty as supply lines stall. Allies from Japan to Australia would start questioning whether America can truly protect them. A single missile hit could ripple into billions of dollars and a deep blow to U.S. credibility. Even a short closure would ripple fast. Factories miss parts, ports clog, fuel costs spike, and families feel it at home. For Beijing, this is a test. China has invested in carrier killer missiles for years, designed to push American ships out of the region without ever needing a full-scale naval clash. By launching now, Beijing signals that it is willing to gamble, betting that mass missile strikes can overwhelm defenses faster than the U.S. can adapt. On the Roosevelt, sailors know this is not an exercise. The crew feels the weight of history as much as the threat of steel. Every radar contact, every launch order could decide not only the fate of their ship, but the security of global trade. And now the question turns to you watching. If you think America's carriers can still hold the line, hit 1-inch the comments. If you believe China's missile storm will eventually break through, press 9. 5:46 a.m. The radar picture hardens. Aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt, operators mark 3 patterns: high arcs from the mainland, sea skimmers from the east, and a few fast blips that barely hold a track. Ballistic, cruise, hypersonic. Clear skies mean clean guidance for both sides. The escorts act first. Vertical launch cells open, then thunder. SM-6 interceptors leap upward, white trails cutting across dawn. Impact speed does the killing. A second ripple follows. ESSMs fan out low, tuned for missiles that skim the sea. Each shot trades money for minutes and minutes for lives. Explosions pepper the horizon. Some vanish high, others break just above the waves, hissing into foam. Yet the scope stays crowded. For every threat erased, another appears. The formation tightens its network. Ships share tracks and pace salvos so no gap opens. 5:47. The air wing joins. F-35Cs and Super Hornets roar into the sky. EA-18 grams Growlers jam radars, trying to blind seekers. Fighters push toward the H-6 bombers that launched this storm, tossing long-range shots to thin the wave. A tanker edges forward to keep them fueled. Even fuel is part of the fight. Inside the Combat Information Center, voices stack. Track 2-2 inbound fast. New pair at 085. Engage. The captain replies in clipped orders. Damage control teams, stage hoses, and foam. Medics prep triage kits. On the sponsons, CIWS mounts spin. Barrels glinting. Decoys stand ready. A seeker fooled by a few degrees can mean survival. 5:48. Escorts slide a few cables to widen angles. One takes the high arcs, another the beam. Shoot, look, shoot, sets the rhythm. Fresh SM-6 seconds carve mid-course kills. Two ESSMs swat YJ-18 seconds that slash low across whitecaps. Pilots call splashes. One bomber turns cold. 5:49. The first wave thins but doesn't break. A YJ-18 slips through a seam, hugging the deck. An escort snaps a hard turn and fires a last ESSM, blasting it apart. Debris scuds across the surface. Crews feel the thump and glance at magazine counters. The math is ugly. The enemy reloads ashore. The fleet cannot at sea. The scope pauses, almost calm. Then fresh tracks bloom at the edge. Round 2 is already inbound. 5:50 a.m. The second wave emerges. More tracks fill the scopes, new salvos from the mainland, and another spread from warships farther east. The crew sees the difference immediately. This wave is thicker, faster, and timed to arrive almost together. It's a saturation strike, meant to swamp every layer at once. Escorts shift formation. The Roosevelt turns a few degrees, reducing its profile and tightening the defensive arcs. Keep the wall solid, the captain orders. Launchers cycle again. SM-6 seconds streak upward, ESSMs fan out low, and chaff blooms to create false clouds. Guns spin up to lethal speed, ready to handle what slips through. 5:51. Several drones appear, weaving among the missiles. Cheap, small, and erratic, they force weapons to be spent on them. One destroyer wastes 2 ESSMs before realizing the targets are unmanned decoys. Another drone dives toward the carrier and is ripped apart by CIWS fire. Thousands of rounds turning it to shards. The crew feels the pressure building. Every wasted missile is one less for the real threat. 5:52. A cluster of YJ-18 seconds breaks through at wave top height. The nearest destroyer unleashes its last ESSM battery. 2 missiles detonate in spray. One survives and charges closer. CIWS opens up, the sound like tearing metal. The incoming warhead disintegrates, debris splashing harmlessly short. The deck crew exhales, but only for a moment. 5:53. Hypersonic YJ-21 seconds arrive, faster than reaction time. One slams into an SM-6 inches, a mid-air flash. Another burns through the defenses and streaks past the carrier, missing by sheer luck, gouging the sea with a massive plume. The shockwave rattles the Roosevelt's hull, knocking sailors off their feet. Damage control reports minor flooding, quickly contained. Despite kills stacking up, the math turns grim. Magazine counts run low. The escorts are bleeding interceptors faster than they can hope to replace them. China is betting that quantity beats quality. And for a moment, it looks like the bet might pay. In the Combat Information Center, no one speaks louder than a whisper. Eyes stay on screens. Fingers hover over firing keys. The wave is not done, and the line must hold. And here's the question for you. If you believe America's defenses can keep absorbing wave after wave, hit 1-inch the comments. If you think China's sheer numbers will eventually crack the shield, press 9. 5:55 a.m. Just as the crew steadies, the picture shifts again. Operators call out new tracks smaller, faster, hugging the surface so tight they almost vanish from radar. These aren't the big ballistic arcs or the lumbering cruise missiles. This is something different. Swarms of sea-skimming weapons designed to slip beneath the shield. The twist rattles every sailor. Hypersonic strikes are terrifying, but at least they're visible. These new threats hide in the sea clutter, popping up late, leaving almost no time to react. They're in the weeds, one radar tech mutters. The captain doesn't wait. Orders fire out. Bring SIS to max. Load decoys. Stand by for rapid fire. Destroyers shift to flank defense, trying to cover blind spots. SM-6 seconds are nearly useless against such low flyers, so the job falls to ESSMs, CIWS, and sheer maneuvering. Roosevelt heels several degrees, tightening her turn to narrow the angles. The ship groans under the stress, but responds. On deck, the guns track fast. barrels glowing as they rip, bursts into the morning haze. A drone appears first, racing low. Failing CIWS tears it apart, sparks showering into the sea. Seconds later, a pair of sea skimmers charge in. One is caught by an ESSM, detonating in spray. The second keeps coming. The crew holds steady as the carrier itself unleashes its own CIWS, thousands of rounds carving a wall of steel. The missile disappears in an explosion just short of the hull. The twist is clear. China isn't just throwing more missiles, it's changing the playbook, mixing weapons and tactics to break America's rhythm. Each layer of defense is tested in a new way, and the line between survival and disaster narrows with every second. 5:58 a.m. The horizon lights up with the heaviest barrage yet. Hypersonics, cruise missiles, drones, all packed into one final wave. The sky looks crowded, the sea alive with threats. For the Roosevelt Strike Group, this is the knife edge. Final defense, stand by. The order echoes through steel passageways. SM-6 stocks are nearly gone. ESSM launchers cycle on fumes. It comes down to CIWS, point defense missiles, and raw nerve. The first impacts come close. A YJ-21 slams into an interceptor mid-air, scattering burning fragments. Another sea skimmer darts past two ESSMs, only to be shredded by a destroyer CIWS at the last second. The sound is deafening, thousands of rounds ripping air into metal dust. 5:59. A drone dives straight at the Roosevelt. Gunners on deck open fire, tracers cutting bright arcs. The drone bursts into flame and tumbles into the sea, but the distraction costs seconds. Two more missiles close in. One is destroyed by a phalanx burst. The other streaks through smoke, coming head-on for the carrier. "Hold steady," the captain shouts. The Roosevelt heaves as the helm throws a hard turn. CIWS unleashes a desperate stream, metal thundering. At the last instant, the missile detonates just short, the shockwave rocking the hull, spraying seawater across the bow. 6. The last attackers come in pairs. Escorts coordinate, one firing chaff, another unleashing bursts. Pilots above drop flares and push their jets into interception runs. One missile explodes mid-air. Another disintegrates against a hail of gunfire. Slowly, the scopes clear. One by one, the inbound tracks vanish. Silence falls, except for the hiss of radios and the low thrum of engines. Smoke drifts, water steams. The Roosevelt still floats. Her decks are scorched, her escorts drained, but she's alive. Damage reports scroll, scorched paint, dented plating, two arrays offline, yet propulsion and flight ops hold. Flight deck calls green, two F-35Cs trapped for fuel, while crews shove carts forward and reset the launch cycle. The crew knows the fight isn't over. China can reload and return. But for this moment, the US line has not broken. And now, your call. If you think America can keep holding no matter how fierce the storm, hit 1-inch the comments. If you believe China's waves will eventually break through, press 9. 6:10 a.m. The sea is quiet again, but the silence feels heavy. The Roosevelt Strike Group still floats, scarred yet alive. Deck crews wash away debris. Damage control seals ruptured lines. Medics treat sailors bruised by shockwaves. The ship is bloody, not sunk. For Washington, the result is mixed. America proved it could survive a mass missile strike. Interceptors, electronic warfare, and close-in guns work together, buying just enough time to keep the carrier in the fight. But the cost is harsh. Hundreds of millions in missiles were fired in minutes to stop drones, and warheads worth far less. The imbalance is clear, and Beijing knows it. For Beijing, the lesson is direct. China showed it can push US carriers to the limit, draining magazines in one engagement. Even though the Roosevelt survived, the pressure is relentless. More salvos can be fired ashore. More drones can be built cheaply and hurled forward. The strategy is exhaustion, not just destruction. Allies watch closely. Tokyo, Seoul, Canberra, all track every interception. They see the US line hold, but barely. Questions grow. How many more waves can be endured before cracks open? How long can allies count on carriers to guard sea lanes? Markets react instantly. Oil prices surge, insurance climbs. The global economy feels the ripple from one morning of combat in the Taiwan Strait. Another clash like this, and trade across Asia, could seize up. For the sailors aboard the Roosevelt, the meaning is simpler. They fought, they held, and they lived to see another sunrise. But all know the fight will return, and next time it may come harder, faster, or from a new direction. Result: survival with scars. Impact: proof of US resolve, but also proof of China's reach. The clash is no longer hypothetical, it's real, shaping power in the Pacific. And now, your voice matters. If you think America will keep holding the line, hit 1 inch the comments. If you believe China's waves will tip the balance, press 9, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next strike.